Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the June 11th, 2026 meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners. If you would stand with us, please. We'll call on our Commission Chaplain, Romel McMurry, to lead us in our prayer and our pledge. Commissioner McMurray.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we stand before you tonight to say thank you. We thank you for your timing in all things in our lives. Father, we know that we can always depend on you to carry us through the good and the bad, the ups and the downs. God, I ask that you grant us leaders to make wise decisions based on facts and not self. Open our minds and hearts to listen and to care about all the concerns of your people. Lord, we trust you in all things. We place the future of Rutherford County in your hands, for we know that this is one of the greatest counties in Tennessee. Grant this county unity, peace, understanding, and a strong love for thy neighbor. I ask that you remove any fear that keeps us from growing and replace it with faith so that it reminds us that we're made for more. I pray that we continue to move forward and not backwards. God, you steer us and we'll row. I pray that you're not done writing all of our stories. We bless your holy name. I pray that you protect our first responders and our military. And I also pray that you over our cities, our county, our state, and the United States of America. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 3 white stars on a field of blue, God keep them strong and ever true. It is with pride and love that we salute the flag of Tennessee.
Thank you. You may be seated. This time I'll call on the Rutherford County Clerk, Lisa Crowell, to call the roll. Lisa?
Commissioner Oliver?
Present.
Commissioner Pearcy?
Here.
Commissioner Hall?
Here.
Commissioner Peete?
Here.
Commissioner Davison?
Here.
Commissioner Beverly?
Here.
Commissioner Gooch?
Present.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner James?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Johnson?
Present.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here.
Commissioner Paul Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Urban? Here. Commissioner Harris? Here. Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Chairman Phillips?
Here.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Here.
Commissioner McMurray?
Here.
Commissioner Gooch?
Here.
Commissioner Scrivener?
Yeah.
We have a quorum, 21 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item D, reading and approval of our May 14th meeting minutes. I'll call on our Chairman Pro-Tem Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. I have reviewed the May 14th minutes and found them to be in order. My motion is to dispense with the reading and approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Item E, Pettus Reed, Commissioner Pettus Reed. He'll probably make a comment about the shining star over in the Eagleville area. A very special, once again, recognition. Commissioner Reed.
Yes, I will, Mr. Chairman. I'm talking about the diamond in the West, and we're talking about Eagleville, Tennessee. And I'm going to ask that the Eagleville champion girls softball team come forward this time, along with their coaches and principals, and anybody else they want to bring with them, because they deserve it. And I think when you see this team come forward, and I want to tell you something. There's gentlemen sitting out here that have played baseball all their life. And gentlemen, this team will eat your lunch if you try to play them, I guarantee you, because they're about the best you'll find anywhere. Now, for 12 years, I've talked about the diamond in the West out here, and I've talked about Eagleville, Tennessee, and I totally mean it, because it's something totally different that you'll find in Rutherford County. And this right here is proof of it. because when I get through reading this resolution, I think it will prove to you what is located just out that way out there, that so many people located here in this side of the county, oh, that's too far out there. Well, we know why it's too far. It keeps all of you back here. And that's why we really are proud of Eagleville, Tennessee, and what they're doing out there. But the resolution of recognition of the 2026 Eagleville High School Girls State Softball Champions. Whereas back in 2022, Eagleville High School Girls Softball team made school history by winning the first ever state championship in any sport by being named the 2022 TSSAA Division 1A state champion with an overall season record of 21-8. And whereas the Lady Eagles are no strangers to winning, and this year the Eagleville High School Lady Eagles, Eagleville, Tennessee, are the TSSAA Class 1A Girls Softball State Champions. The team claimed their second consecutive Class 1A title and third in the past 5 seasons. Whereas the Eagleville Girls Softball team members are Kate Darnell, Madison Kendrick, Ashlyn Walker, Lily Shepcott, Isabel Rich, Ellie Newton, Braden Crabtree, Sophie Smith, Kara Grimes, Presley Holland, Reese Flowers, Ashley Harrington, Taylor Lilly, Remington Cook, Cora Johnson, Avery Barnes, Dakota Harrison, Addison Martin, Sophie Breyer, Janie Gray, Anne Marie Oliver, Madison Davenport, Marilyn Flutie, Story Reary, and whereas this has been a season to remember in the Eagleville community, and special recognition is due to head coach Chad Lehman, who's also mayor of the city, assistant coach Karen Crabtree, Chris Ellis, Amy Kedrick, Brittany Oliver, Brandon Witt, and athletic trainer Kevin Wolf, along with Principal Tim Pettigo, and now the new principals out there, I believe, is Jason Brown sitting down here on the end, and the school staff for the dedication and commitment which made this championship possible, as well as encouraging good sportsmanship and inspired team play. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that we extend this resolution of recognition to the 2026 Eagleville High School Girls Softball Team, managers and coaches for their successful year. Resolved this 11th day of June 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please stand and cheer.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. First off, just want to thank everyone for all you do to help us, because without y'all and y'all funding what we have out there, we wouldn't be where we're at today. So thank y'all for doing that. It takes everybody to make this happen. I do have a little gift since Mr. Reed is leaving and going out. I wanted him to go out a champion, so we got you a TSSAA Gold State Championship medal. So that way you can go out a champion. We know you're going out. We appreciate you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give him another hand, guys. Thank you. I bring them up here every day before open. I'll tell you that. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may.
Commissioner Cush.
Thank you. One thing that wasn't mentioned, and I would be remiss not to acknowledge this, but our own Commissioner Carl Boyd has a connection with this team. His daughter Brittany, assistant coach, and his granddaughter Anne Marie was on this team and were up on stage. So congratulations, grandfather, you must be proud.
Item F, public comments. We've had 3 individuals to sign up for public comments. When I call your name, if you'll come up, you'll have 3 minutes to make your comments. Once again, if you would come up, I'll announce your name and the topic that you have. First on the list is Brendan Dugty, and his topic is AI Data Center.
Hello, my name is Brendan Dowdy. I'm a resident of District 13, and I'm here today to ask this Board of Commissioners to impose a countywide 12-month moratorium or ban on the construction of any AI data centers. In case you aren't aware yet, AI data centers consume massive amounts of resources that drive up utility costs and cause water and air pollution. These facilities require specialized high-density graphic processing units that require 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to train and power complex algorithms and compile data for mass surveillance. A single large AI data center demands thousands of megawatts daily and emits up to 2,000 nitrogen oxides. For example, the upcoming $100 billion data center in Utah, backed by Shark Tank star and Canadian billionaire John O'Leary, will consume 30 times the amount of electricity than the city of Murfreesboro. That's 5 times the power of Las Vegas, 4 times the city of Chicago, and right under 2 times the entire city of New York. Keep in mind, the initial proposal of this data center was going to be double the size until major protests erupted. 67% of new data centers are being placed in rural areas, with the other 33% in residential and suburban areas, which have already had severe mental and physical effects on the people living there. Because of the industrial noise, infrasound, decreasing property values, and toxic air emissions making neighborhoods unlivable, people have been displaced from their homes, including elderly people and families who have been there for generations. Just to reiterate the importance of a moratorium, I wanted to mention that Festus, Missouri, voters replaced all 4 city council members that were up for re-election after they approved of a 360-acre data center. This is not a right, left, red, or blue issue. This is about community. With a moratorium enacted, we can ensure that these big tech companies cannot maneuver under the public's nose like we've seen many times before. We need to put our community's health and safety before corporate profits and ensure our environment and rural areas stay beautiful. I've talked to hundreds of voters and have yet to have a resident of District 13 disagree with me on this issue, regardless of the political party they affiliate with. I have vowed to do what I can to keep this county safe and healthy, and this is me delivering a portion of that promise. Will you all please consider doing the same? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kathy Watts. Our topic is the AI data center.
Hi, I'm Kathy Watts. I live in District 16, and I'm here to talk about AI data centers. Memphis, Arnold Air Force Base, McMinnville, and now the Nashville Zoo. Large AI data centers are being planned all over Tennessee. Colossus in Memphis is owned by Elon Musk and is the largest AI data center in the country. 30 unpermitted methane gas turbines are used to power it, enough to power over 500,000 homes. This is spewing cancer-causing chemicals into the air. They use several million gallons of water from Memphis's municipal water plant daily. Arnold Air Force Base in Coffee County was mandated by executive order to put out bids for a large AI data center built on the base. Recently, they stated that no bids had been received, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's over. McMinnville is scheduled to have a 25-watt AI data center by 2028. The developer said they chose Tennessee as it has no state personal income tax, competitive franchise and excise tax rates, a pro-business regulatory environment, and lower land and construction costs when compared to primary data center markets such as Northern Virginia. And most recently, a 69,000 square foot AI data center is scheduled to be built 50 yards from the Nashville Zoo. The city was not prepared for this project and doesn't have zoning in place to prevent it. Over 325,000 people have signed a change.org petition against the center and for protecting the animals at the zoo. Whether you're for or against AI, and personally I'm opposed to it, hopefully you want to preserve our environment and keep Rutherford County the beautiful place that we love. AI data centers not only cause air pollution, but they also use a tremendous amount of electricity and water. They need to be required to build their own electric grid and to reuse wastewater for cooling, not our drinking water. They make a horrible humming noise 24 hours a day, so we don't want them near homes or the zoo. They don't create jobs except when the facility is being built. After they're built, it's just a big building full of computers. There are very few people in there. They often eliminate jobs, which is not something we want. AI can make your job easier, but like doing mundane tasks that take humans a long time, but they shouldn't replace people. Rutherford County has an opportunity to stop AI data centers from coming here, but we need to do something very soon. Once it's planned, it's very hard to stop. I would like to ask that the County Commission put a 12 to 18-month moratorium on AI data centers to give us time to put zoning in place to either keep them from happening or to force them to put safeguards in place to protect our environment. Let's keep Rutherford County beautiful. Thank you.
Next is Darrell Dewar. It appears that his topic is the new Blackman High School.
Good evening, everyone, Chairman, Commissioners. My wife and I are residents of the Blackman community. We actually live directly across the streets from the new Poplar Hill Elementary School. When we're real excited about the concept that there may be a new high school that would be joining the complex. I'm here tonight not to speak against the new high school, but rather to ask that we need new high schools, but we need to build them safely. So I want to begin by saying that Rutherford County is growing rapidly. We do understand the desperate need for more schools, and we understand that the school board is considering that Dismouth Farm as a new location. It is just right across the street from the two schools, the elementary school and the middle school, and the problems that are developing there, that are coming to the surface, have all to do with building on karst terrain. So I'm here tonight to request that any future building of public buildings include a complete survey of the ground that they're building on top of. If it is a karst-rich area, then there are certain tests that should be required before building begins, and actually before the design begins. We have ways to heat and cool our schools without depending on geothermal. You all have an information packet on your desk this evening. I ask you to read it, to review the points that we're making. And again, we're here not to speak against the schools, but to ask for a responsible design and building. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Item G, elections and confirmations. I'll call on the steering vice chair, Commissioner Pettus-Reed.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elections and confirmations for June 2026.
Commissioner Reed, hold on a second.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Oliver?
Yes, I have a question. I was just wondering if all votes could be on the board tonight.
I'm sorry, what did you say? What was that question?
Can all votes be on the board, be recorded on the board?
I'll entertain a motion.
I move that all votes be recorded tonight on the board.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Questions or comments? For this, commissioners will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
15 yes, 6 no.
Motion passes. Commissioner Reed.
Okay. First one we begin with is the election of notaries. Listings of notaries may be found on your iPad. Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the election of these individuals as Rutherford County notaries.
Questions or comments? Second. Sorry, we have a second. Thank you. Questions or comments? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes.
Item 2, steering would like to announce 6 vacancies on the Rutherford County Board of Health. These are 4-year terms. Current terms end June 2026. Item 3, steering wishes to confirm the reappointment of Faye Elam for the CCRC Board of Directors. Current term ends July 1, 2026. This is a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2026 and ending July 1st, 2029. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, any questions? Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner Reed.
Item 4, we wish to confirm Jeffery Wiencek and Herb Strong for the Library Board. These are 3-year terms beginning August 2026 and ending August 2029. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
20 yes, 1 no.
Motion passes. Thank you. Commissioner Reed.
Item 5, steering would like to confirm the reappointment of Shannon Hicks to the Planning Commission. This is a 4-year term beginning August 2026 and ending August 2030. Appointment by the Mayor, Commission confirms. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner Reed.
Item 6, steering also wishes to confirm the reappointment of Dr. Michael McDonald, Clara Maxwell, and Chay Woods to the Juvenile Detention Center Board of Commissioners. These are 2-year terms beginning August 2026, ending August 2028. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second. Questions? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner Reed.
And item 7, we also wish to confirm Tisha Thompson as Juvenile Commissioner. This is a 4-year term. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the business of elections and confirmations.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. Item H, resolution to approve our consent agenda. Calling our Chairman Pro-Tem, Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. There were a few questions, but those questions have been answered successfully, I believe. So my motion is to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or comments? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. No unfinished business. Item J, public hearings. We're a couple of minutes early, but I'll call on our Planning Director, Doug DeMasi, to lead us through this process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Doug DeMasi, County Planning Director. We have 4 public hearings for your consideration tonight. The first is by Javier Olvera. This is located at 5350 Epps Mill Road. Existing zoning is residential, medium density, and they are asking for a planned unit development for a portion of the site, about 10.5 acres on a 31-acre property. Excuse me. This application comes as a result of basically an enforcement case. So we received a complaint back in May of 2025 regarding this property. There was fill material being brought onto the property, as well as equipment storage, such as concrete forms, business vehicles, things of that nature. Staff inspected the property, issued a stop work order for the activity. The property owner, who is the applicant, came into our office, obtained a land disturbance permit for the work, and was informed that no commercial activity could occur on the property because it wasn't zoned properly. So we met with the applicant back in September of last year to discuss his options. We did discuss several potential solutions, such as removing the stored material or requesting rezoning to come into compliance, which is what brought us to this application that we have tonight. Originally, the request was for the Employment and Activity Center. However, this was scheduled to go before the Planning Commission back in November of last year. It was removed from the agenda for the neighborhood meeting to be held by the applicant to consider other zoning options, which is what resulted in the plan development you have before you. The pattern book is on your iPads. You'll see a proposed layout on page 8. Again, approximately 11 acres of the 31.5-acre site is proposed for rezoning. The remaining property will remain zoned RM, residential medium density. You'll also see in the concept plan parking area along with fenced area for storage of equipment and materials, and the existing buildings on the property will remain. I'll discuss proposed uses and some traffic issues here in just a moment. Suffice it to say that any access, parking, or landscaping requirements would also have to meet county requirements. The Planning Commission had questions about the grading work that had been done on the property prior to the stop work order being issued. Staff said that if the zoning application was approved, the site plan would have to be submitted showing how they would remediate any work that was done, especially work that had been done in the 100-year floodplain. There was further discussion about work in the floodplain and how that is enforced by the county. There were also questions about the entrance off of to the property off of Epps Mill Road. We stated that we would request a turning template for larger vehicles, and an access study could also be required now or at the site plan stage. Proposed uses, I alluded to just a moment ago. The applicant's representative stated that some of the uses could be removed. They were also comfortable adding the access report into the pattern book. That has been done on the pattern book that you have on your iPads. The applicant's representative removed any heavy equipment rental from the list. During the public hearing, several speakers spoke, discussed concerns with flooding onto adjacent properties, zoning concerns, the possibility of townhomes, condos, those kind of things with any kind of a rezoning. We expressed after the public hearing to them, we told them that the application that they were asking for as far as the plan development was concerned was only going to be for the use specified and whatever was allowed in the pattern book. This wasn't going to be a rezoning for the entire property, nor were there any townhomes or more dense residential uses as a result of that. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission recommended approval. The vote was 8-4, none against, and 1 abstention. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Demasi or staff? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 25-028 for Javier Oliveira. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve with staff comments.
We have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Once again, any questions? I'm sorry. Commissioners, for this will be on the board. If you would, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Mr. Demasi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our second public hearing tonight is by Bev Kruger. This is property located at 8455 Franklin Road. It's an existing plan unit development, and they are asking for an amendment for the site, which is about 5 acres in size. As a way of history, the zoning for this existing self-storage facility was originally approved by the Board of Commissioners back in November of 2016. This property has been developed in multiple phases, most recent of which was approved by the Planning Commission back in 2021, and permits were issued in 2022. The applicant's proposing to amend the original plan development to add an office, additional storage buildings, and some surface parking and storage on the existing property. You'll find a pattern book on your iPads for this application as well, and you'll see on pages 11 and 12 the proposed building locations and also the surface parking areas. There's also some architectural renderings of the buildings, descriptions of the bufferings in the pattern book as well. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on those if anybody has any. Pages 11, 16, and 17 show the applicant would like to a reduction of the rear setback from 20 feet to 10 feet to allow for vehicle parking along that southern property line. Parking areas are only required to provide 7.5-foot landscape area between the parking and maneuvering areas and the property line, so they're still within that. No buildings in that area, just the parking for like boats, RVs mainly, those kind of things. This item was deferred originally back at the February 9th Planning Commission meeting of this year to give the applicant an opportunity to explore some additional buffering options, and I'll get to those here when I tell you about the results of the meeting. Again, access, parking, landscaping, everything would be in conformance with county regulations as amended by the pattern book. After we introduced the case, the applicant made a presentation on several topics, including lighting, landscaping alternatives, and fence height. The applicant stated they were installing shields for lighting and have already installed several on the property to help reduce glare onto adjacent property. They are willing to extend the fence height an additional 2 feet, which is in the pattern book. And they also put the preferred landscape alternative 1 in the pattern book. After the discussion, there were a couple different alternatives that were considered at the Planning Commission meeting. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission discussed the screening alternatives. Again, the motion was made to recommend approval of the application subject to landscape alternative 1 and all other staff comments. This motion was approved by a unanimous vote. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Demasi or staff? Seeing none, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 25-018 for Beverly Kruger. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner McMurray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make a motion to approve this project per staff comments. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to approve rezoning request REZ 25-018. Once again, any questions? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Mr. DeMasi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our third item tonight is by Joshua Cannon. This is located at 2601 Thurston Drive, which is located right off of Old Nashville Highway. Property is zoned residential medium density, and they were asking for commercial services for about 5.7 acres. This application comes as a result of a zoning enforcement action. County zoning enforcement officials received a complaint about business activity on the property earlier this year. Following an inspection and conversations with the owner, he started working with a local engineering firm and met with county staff about rezoning the property. The applicant owns the gravel company, which is located just a little bit further down the road on Old Nashville Highway. He'd like to rezone this property to expand his business as his existing site is at capacity. There's an existing house on the property that he'd be using as rental. A concept plan is included with the staff report. Now, this is not a plan development, so this is not a binding plan, but it should give you an idea of how they are proposing to develop the property. You'll see the office where the existing house is located, along with the proposed storage structure and parking and material storage areas at the back of the property. Of course, a concept plan, since it's not binding, this would require a site plan, engineered site plan, to be approved by the Planning Commission. Those would have to meet all of our access, parking, landscaping, and performance standards as well. There was very little discussion from the Planning Commission on this item. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission recommended approval by a unanimous vote. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Questions for Mr. DeMasi?
Yes, I don't have that on my iPad. I don't have this on my iPad.
Sorry?
Where is it?
It's on mine. Anyone else missing it? Questions? Thank you. This time I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 26-008 for Joshua Cannon. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I declare the public hearing closed. Commissioners, Mr. Commissioner Irvin, I believe.
Motion to
This is
approve
your
with
first
staff
time up,
comments.
I believe, Commissioner Irvin.
Pardon me?
This is your first time up, I believe.
It's second or third.
Okay.
Still a motion to approve with staff comments.
Anybody going to second it? We have a motion and a second to approve rezoning request REZ 26-008. Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is our final public hearing for the night. This is by Chris Rudd for Beekman Acquisitions, LLC. This is located at 7477 Almaville Road. Existing zoning is residential medium density. They're asking for a planned unit development for the property, which is about 31, almost 32 acres in size. This application has been to the Planning Commission a couple different times. It was deferred by the Planning Commission at their March 9th meeting. I've included a copy of those minutes in your agenda packets for your reference. Most of the concerns raised during that meeting were about traffic safety, commercial uses in the area, and the range of uses allowed in the commercial services district, which is what they were asking for originally. The first motion was actually to deny the request, but the applicant's representative came forward and asked if it could be deferred, which was granted. The applicant then held a neighborhood meeting later on in March in anticipation of a planned development rezoning, which is what you have before you. The pattern book for this application is also on your iPads. You can see a concept plan on page 8. You see 4 tracks with buildings and parking storage on each. Maximum building size is 20,000 square feet per lot. The overall maximum total for the project is 80,000 square feet. You'll see parking and storage areas again shown, but they might vary depending on the kind of business that ends up. You'll see, I'll talk about uses here in just a moment. The use of uses, again, can be found on page 9, but I'll go into that here in just a couple more minutes. All of our access and parking and landscaping requirements, of course, would be according to county standards. The Planning Commission, during their discussion, had questions about the private drive. You can see that there is a road that kind of extends through the property from Almaville Road all the way to the eastern property line. It's shown to be a private drive, basically a private access easement, and whether it be more appropriate as a public road. The applicant's representative said they plan to keep it as a public access easement, but it would be built to county road standards. In the eventual, if it ever were to extend to the east a little bit further, it could tie into the South Haven subdivision right to the east. But as right now, they'd have to cross through another property to do that, which we've had no discussions on recently at least. During the public hearing, there were several concerns that people spoke about. They range from preserving the history of the community, traffic congestion and safety, ensuring the adequate infrastructure is in place before approving new development, the condition of Almaville Road, and also flooding and pollution washing into the creek. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission asked about proposed improvements, to Almaville Road. Staff said they were not aware of any timeline for improvements. The improvements are actually on the county's, this region's long-range transportation plan in relation with the area Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO. Almaville Road is a state road, so of course those are going to have to be handled by TDOT. So again, no time frame for that. Future development in the area was discussed. The applicant's representative also discussed their anticipated traffic as compared if the area were to develop as housing, and felt that their traffic would be significantly less. Potential uses were discussed specifically in the light industrial category. The applicant's representative stated they were focusing on smaller contractors, landscapers, plumbers, those kind of businesses, and not larger truck users. Staff met with the applicant, a little earlier this week, and actually pared down the list a little bit more than even what was at the Planning Commission. You can see that in the pattern book, how those uses were kind of pared out, which they're specifically excluded. There are several in there, especially the heavier truck uses have been specifically excluded. The commissioner of that district also came to address the Planning Commission and shared his comments on the application, which I'm sure Commissioner James will probably do tonight. Following this discussion, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval by a unanimous vote, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions at this time for Mr. DeMasi?
Question.
Commissioner Oliver.
Mr. DeMasi, you said they had a community meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the one that Joshua James was already having, or did they have a separate one?
This was a different one. This was a separate one just for that, yes, ma'am.
And what was the feedback? What was the feedback from the community meeting?
Well, a lot of the same concerns that were brought up during the public hearing. I was at the meeting as well, but yeah, it's a lot of similar concerns.
So basically, they were against it?
Most of them were, yes, ma'am. I would say it's a fair statement.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing no more questions, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 26-004 for Chris Rudd. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Remind you that you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jake Malmstrom. I am a resident of District 9. I wanted to express my concern to you about this rezoning request and multiple other rezoning requests in this area around Almaville Road and Interstate 840. In January, you heard comments from many members of the community who were concerned with the designation of this area as an activity zone. They expressed to you that they did not want to see industrialization in their backyards. In March, at a different public hearing for rezoning in the same area, you heard a member of the community express concern again about the area being industrialized without public input or solid infrastructure commitment. Commissioner Oliver spoke up at that time with questions about highway interchange and road planning and was told that plans may or may not be finished by the time that the development was completed. Now here we are again, looking at the 6th request in 6 months for this area. These requests will continue to add to the industrial traffic along the 2-lane road that is Elamville and continue to ignore input from the nearby community. Now, I understand that there was a meeting for this particular request. It does sound like the comments were echoed again, that the community does not want to see continued industrialization of this area. Rather than continue to look at these requests one by one, month after month, I urge the commission to take a step back and look at the area holistically. Please consider the future of our community as you make your vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed for rezoning request REZ 26-004 for Chris Wood. Commissioner James.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I appreciate my opponent for speaking tonight on this matter. For reasons put out during the planning meeting and the unanimous vote in favor of this project, I move to approve with staff comments.
We have a motion and a second, Commissioner Cush. Any questions or comments? Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
20 yes, 1 no.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item K, we're getting into, thank you, Mr. DeMasi.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Doug a question to follow up with?
I'm sorry?
May I ask Doug a question to follow up with?
Commissioner James.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Doug, sorry to put you on the spot. I'm going off of some of the comments we had. I am curious, and if you have to get back to me at a later time because it is on the spot, I'd appreciate if you do so. I'd like to know more of what our procedures or policy is on the potential for data centers.
Mm-hmm.
I know we don't have any in the works that I know of now.
No, we don't.
Like, what is the checklist that we have to go through?
Sure. As you stated, we don't, like you say, we don't have any regulations for data centers. However, there's language in our ordinance that basically says if it's not a identified use in the zoning ordinance, then basically it's not allowed. So anybody that would come in with a data center would have to go through the rezoning process. Since we don't have anything like that, would more than likely have to be a plan development application. Now, I will say that I have not had any conversations with anybody about locating a data center in the unincorporated area of Rutherford County. Now, that could all change tomorrow morning when I get to my office and I check voicemails, but as of right now, that we haven't had any requests for that. We have had some preliminary discussions with a couple of the utilities, with Middle Tennessee Electric and CUD, regarding their concerns on data centers. So it's something that's on our radar. We've actually even done a little bit of zoning research just to kind of figure out how other areas do it. We haven't developed any regulations yet, but as of right now, like I said, they would have to go through the rezoning process. They wouldn't be able just to buy a site and say, hey, we're going to start opening up, and there's nothing you can do about it. So.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Mr. DeMasi. Commissioner Oliver.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't understand your last statement when you said there's nothing you could do about it. You kind of turned that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, what I was saying was, since we don't have any zoning regulations on them, somebody couldn't come in, buy property, and then say, we're just going to start building, and there's nothing that you can do about it. They would have to go through the rezoning process. So I'm sorry, sorry.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. DeMasi.
Thank you.
Item K, we're getting into our standing committee reports. Without objection, I'm going to move Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to last on the list. So we'll go right straight to item K, 2, Public Safety Committee, Chairman Pettus Reed.
Mr. Chairman, we have no report, but our next meeting will be Monday, June 22nd at 5:30 in this room.
Thank you, sir. Item K3, Health and Education Committee, Chairman Phil Dodd.
Thank you, Chairman. No report tonight, but please note that our meeting has been moved up 1 week. We will meet next Tuesday, June the 16th, 5:30 p.m. in these chambers.
Thank you, Chairman Dodd. Item K4, Property Management Committee, Chairman Alan McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight, I was going to present the capital project update list, but Eric is out of the country for a funeral, so that list didn't get completed. So we'll be looking at maybe presenting it next month. Also, our next meeting date is June the 25th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo. Item K5, Public Works and Planning Committee, Chairman Anthony Johnson.
Thank you, Chairman. Our next Public Works Committee meeting will be July 7th at 5:30. There's no report tonight.
Thank you, Chairman. Item K6, Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee, Chairman Craig Harris.
Mr. Chairman, we have no report. We will not be meeting in July, and our next meeting is August 1st.
Thank you. Now we'll get into the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee. I'll call on Chairman Robert P.
Well, good evening. Commissioner Hall said I've got 5 resolutions here. He's going to give me 5 minutes. Please, y'all keep that in mind if the debate starts. But the first resolution is a resolution approving the IDB bond resolution. Whereas at a meeting on May 20th, 2026, a resolution was adopted by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, the board, authorizing the issuance of its revenue bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million, financing the cost of acquisition, construction, and equipping of a new retail store and donation site located at 4330 Veterans Parkway, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is more particularly described in the resolution attached hereto as Exhibit A, the project, and approving certain implementing documents. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and other appropriate officials of Rutherford County, Tennessee be and are hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents relative to the issuance of the revenue bonds by the board for the purpose set forth in Exhibit A, which is incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim, in the amount not to exceed $6 million for the purpose of acquisition, construction, and equipping the project. Resolved this 11th day of June, 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Commissioners will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Chairman P.
Budget item B, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Centralized Cafeteria Fund be amended according to the schedule attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 11th day of June 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While I think if anybody watched the budget meeting, I think you know that I'm in favor of voting no for this, because I would basically send it back to the school board, with request to reduce the cost of meals for students, teachers, and staff, as opposed to reclassing it into the general purpose school fund where it could be spent on any number of different things, albeit restricted, as Michael would tell us. So I'll be voting no, but we don't need to belabor the point based on the discussion and budget. One question I did have, though, is the county attorney reviewed this, and is he able to confirm this is legal and will have no adverse consequences for the school board and the county?
No, sir, I have not looked at this. It's a budgetary amendment finance item, so I have not been requested to look at it.
Are you aware of Mr. Reed, whether Mr. Reed, attorney for the school board, has?
I'm not sure, sir.
Thank you.
Other questions? We have a motion and a second. Commissioners, please cast your vote. Robert.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
18 yes, 3 no.
I'm sorry, Lisa, did you say that again?
18 yes, 3 no.
Motion passes.
Item C, resolution to elect to purchase the Bank of America building.
Mr. Chairman, without objection, there'll probably be a lot of discussion on this. There has been in the most recent Budget Committee meeting, and I'm going to ask the chairman of our Property Management Committee, Alan McAdoo, to join you to potentially help us in answering questions or any questions that may be presented. So,
Well, I'm always open to sharing the heat, so. A resolution authorizing Rutherford County to proceed to closing on the purchase of the Bank of America building, whereas Rutherford County, Tennessee entered into a certain real estate purchase agreement dated August 14, 2025 with MAC3 Properties LLC for the purchase of approximately 1.249 acres of real property located at 120 East Main Street, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, commonly known as the Bank of America building property. And whereas the real estate purchase agreement was subsequently modified by that certain First Amendment to Real Estate Purchase Agreement dated December the 12th, 2025, and that certain Second Amendment to the Real Estate Purchase Agreement and the Real Estate Purchase Agreement as amended is referred to herein as the Purchase Agreement. And whereas pursuant to the First Amendment to Real Estate Purchase Agreement, the purchase price for the property was revised to $8 million. And whereas Rutherford County has exercised the available extensions of the permitting period under the purchase agreement and has paid a total of $450,000 in non-refundable earnest money deposits, which shall be applied as credit against the purchase price at closing. And whereas after consideration of the property, the terms of the purchase agreement, the earnest money deposit previously paid, and the matters subscribed herein, the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners find that proceeding to closing on the purchase of the property, subject to the satisfaction of the conditions set forth below, is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that Rutherford County, Tennessee County is hereby authorized to proceed to closing on the purchase of the property in acceptance with the terms and conditions of the purchase agreement, subject to the satisfaction of the conditions set forth herein, and the approval of the county attorney. Be it further resolved that Rutherford County shall not proceed to closing unless and until any other matters affecting title to the property have been resolved or otherwise addressed in a manner satisfactory to the county attorney. Be it further resolved that the Rutherford County mayor and other appropriate county officials are authorized to exercise any deeds, closing statements, settlements, agreements, easements, affidavits, releases, and other documents or instruments reasonably necessary or appropriate to complete the closing and carry out the intent of this resolution, subject to the approval of the county attorney. Be it further resolved that the Rutherford County mayor and other appropriate county officials are authorized to take additional actions as may be reasonably necessary or appropriate to complete the purchase of the property and resolve the matter described herein, subject to the approval of the county attorney. Resolved this 11th day of June 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second.
I have a question to help me understand something on this. Help me make it make sense, right? Because I see the need. I see there's a need. I've toured the Goldstein building from the basement to the rooftop, and I've seen the need. But the cost, the last numbers I got was to renovate Goldstein was roughly, while they're using it, was roughly $8 million. We're looking at keeping that, and now I'm hearing we might be renovating it just the same. The purchase price is $8 million of this building, but then the last I heard was the renovating cost would exceed that, purchase and renovating, almost $17 million. I haven't heard any numbers just from that. So essentially, we're taking an $8 million bill for renovating Goldstein and making it 3 times the size for purchase and renovating of another one, still have the money fit in our hand. So I'm trying to make that make sense. Again, I see the need, but make it make sense, especially during a budget year where it's really tight, where we can't pay our volunteer firemen. We're cutting them 60% of their budget, but we can go spend $8 million on a new building, and then the renovating costs and the unknowns afterwards. We can't pay our first responders to be competitive with one of our own municipalities, but we can look at this as a new purchase. Now, again, I've been in those departments, I've seen them, and yes, they could use more space. They need more space. They're busting at the seams, and that building needs to be a lot of work to it. But somebody, please help me make it sense where these numbers line up or don't, because I'm not saying how it does, and I would love to vote and support getting this building and getting it, but I need those numbers to make sense. Can anybody help me with that?
We've got a lot of people here. I'm sorry, we've got a lot of people here who are more than willing to make a comment tonight on that. Number one, this resolution authorizes the purchase, in essence, not authorizes expenditures for the renovation of the process. Although those renovation costs are considered and been communicated as a result of what the total cost will be. Tonight, this resolution deals with the purchase price. Michael, can you, Commissioner James was worried about the budget. Can you explain to him how this might affect our budget?
The purchase prices of the $8 million is already budgeted. We use some one-time funds for that. Second, I will go ahead and say that the budget for next year is not done. The Budget Committee still meets, I believe it's the 17th, to address. I think one of the things that they're going to address is one of the things you mentioned. But as far as the purchase price, that money's already set aside. That's already budgeted with some one-time money. We've also set aside it's already funded for the design cost, and some of the renovation costs will potentially be funded. I believe there's right at $12 to $13 million we have set aside for it. So we would only need to move about $7 million more, which we would not borrow for. We would use some other one-time money. Particularly, we've used excess investment income that has went down over this year, but we had a surplus last year, and that's really what we've used for this building.
And if we free up, if we choose not to purchase the building, how does that free up on our budget? How does that look?
It does not. It was one-time money. Typically, I mean, if you wanted to put that one-time money towards some type of reoccurring cost, you would have to find another tax or something to replace it with. So it would not really free up anything. It would free up some one-time money, I guess, if we did not do this, but it would not free up any reoccurring. We didn't use any property tax increase, anything like that. We really used, for the most part, excess investment income when rates were really high to kind of help fund this. So we didn't hit any reoccurring revenue for this, for the purchase. So even if you didn't purchase this tonight, I can't add $8 million to the budget for next year. Or you could, but it would be a one-time deal, and you'd be probably having to raise a property tax or something to replace it at some point in the following year.
Other questions? Commissioner Irvin.
To follow up on what Michael just said, the 800, whatever it is, $8 million in one-time money would still be available next year. Is that correct?
Yes.
If it didn't pass. In other words, money is fungible.
Yes, like I was saying, Commissioner James, it'd be available, just not as a reoccurring. I don't have a reoccurring $8 million revenue somewhere.
So in a time period when money is fairly tight for both operating money and one-time money, so to speak, capital type money, this operating money hits this year's budget. This could hit next year's budget, hypothetically, if there were a need, large one perhaps, for money next year or in the future year, this money would be available.
Other questions? Commissioner Cush.
You hear different things on the street, which is dangerous, so I'm going to ask the source. You hear different things about, part of the building or the first floor is move-in ready. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Some of the next floor would need some work. So clarify if some of the building is move-in ready or where that alleged $13 million for renovation, where would that go? So there's somewhere in between the $13 million and move-in ready, there's the truth. So that's what I want to hear.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Right now, the BOA building is 65% ready to be moved into. And looking at the figure of $8 million, we were looking at a figure of $7.5 million just to renovate the Goldstein building as it is. $8 million would purchase the BOA building with 65% of it ready to be moved into. And another thing we're looking at, we've pushed ourselves to the brink with the Goldstein building. It may go out next week. We got units, 16 units. We got one that's been there since 1978. And we've patched and patched and patched and patched it. We can't patch no more. So therefore, we probably would need a backup plan if we have to move them out. But that building is 65% ready now to move into.
Commissioner Cush.
Speaking of the Goldstein building, is it the county's intention to hold on to that building, or are we going to put that up on the market for sale?
Well, it's up to the commission of whatever we want to do with the Goldstein building, but it has been talked that we would put it up maybe for sale since we're moving finance out of the courthouse building and maybe turning the courthouse into a historical museum like we thought we would do with the Goldstein building. So as of right now, if we do that, if we follow up and make the courthouse our museum, then there would be no need really to go in and renovate the Goldstein building. Properties are selling real good up here now, and the city got all their plans to renovate and do. So we'll probably ended up selling it, but it's up to the commission.
Commissioner Cush, just to follow up on what Chairman McAdoo just said, after the new building, I hesitate to call it the BOA building anymore, but the BOA building is renovated and moved into, it'll be up to that current administration and that current commission to make a decision as to what they want to do. All of it's undetermined at this time. Other questions? Ready to vote? If you would, Commissioner Oliver.
Thank you. Can you speak to, and I guess this is for Mr. McAdoo, what took so long to get to this point? What were some of those findings that was making us have to do this over and over again before we got to this point?
Thank you. Some of the commissioners know that we've been looking at this for 18 years in trying to get the people out of the Goldstein building. We had several options that didn't pan out. One of the options was that we were going to try to purchase the library building from the city, move the people in it, and that didn't pan out. The city decided not to let us have the library building. We looked at also at building a new building over there on the gazebo, right, for the city, but they didn't like it, and the price of it was just tremendous, just really too high, so we started looking at other things. We were able to patch and continue to use the Goldstein building for several years. And I would like to thank our maintenance department because they've done a superb job in patching and keeping that building operational. After all of that, we came to the point that we got to do something. So therefore, we went out looking, and we decided maybe we can try to purchase a building around the square. We went out looking. They didn't come looking for us because they know we were going to try to get the best deal we could get. And they really didn't want to go with us, but with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak, meetings or whatever, we were able to talk them into letting us look at the BOA building. And that's basically the reason we took a long time. And once we got on where we could purchase this building, we looked at the feasibility of purchasing this building based on our buildings and our work and the finance department and everything that we were in this square of town. Several years ago, we built the Judicial building for $73 million up here, so we made a big investment to stay up in this area. Big, big investment. Second thing we looked at is that, and all of you familiar with this, we looked at our data system. Our data system, basically, the data freeway, is basically built for all of us to be around the square that basically use this system. And like Mike spoke of the other day, that if anything happened, he needs to be where he can respond quickly. And I can let him talk on that if you want to hear that. But it was several things that forced us to look at staying in this area.
Commissioner Oliver, do you have a follow-up?
Yes. Thank you for that history. I should have clarified my question. What took so long for us to get to this point relative to the BOA building? Each time we kept giving more earnest money, more earnest money. What were the findings that caused it to take this long to get to the point where we're now ready to possibly make a decision to purchase?
Commissioner McAdoo, let's let our county attorney answer that.
Ms. Oliver, so when we negotiated the contract, we built in these extension periods. It takes time with a purchase like this, with a building like this, to go through your due diligence. So there was built-in time to do that due diligence, which we completed. And then there were additional extensions that were purposefully built in to allow for the architect to come up with the design work. They have been working very hard over the last 3 to 5 months on that, and that's my understanding is it has included having to meet with all of the department heads and a number of their staff to understand what the needs are of those individual departments, what sort of technology they need, furniture, all the other different things that goes into running these various departments that will be placed over here. And so they had to come up with design schematics. Then on top of that, they did a preliminary estimate of costs many months ago that was presented to the Budget Committee, I believe in December of 2025. And obviously it was important for this commission to know if those estimated costs were firm or close to firm. And so once they finished or got pretty close to completing some preliminary design renovation plans, the contractor solicited bids from various other people that would assist in doing the actual renovation work. And those bids came back just a couple weeks ago, because all that takes time to do bid solicitations. And the numbers were relatively close to the estimates that were given to us in December at the Budget Committee meeting. So that natural process has just taken time, and the reason that we've had to come back and get extensions and pay additional money is during all this time, the seller, the current owner of the building, has had it locked up under contract, so he hasn't been able to solicit other people to purchase the property. And so there's value that he's losing that he needs to be compensated for, which is why we've had to make these down deposits. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I was just wondering, were there issues with the building that we needed to consider?
So in the December meeting, well, first there were a number of site investigations and surveys done, environmental studies done, and most importantly, there was about a 150-page inspection report that was done by Mr. Bob Warren and his company, and they identified some things that needed to be replaced, particularly the exterior of the building. There's some issues that need to be addressed regarding probably HVAC and the roof, because the building itself is old, but the end result of that is that the guts of the building are very, very good. It's built out of concrete and it sits on bedrock, and so at least from the architect's perspective and the civil engineer that did the inspection work, the building is solid. It is going to have to take some updating naturally, which is what the design engineer or the design architect came up with those estimated costs for the renovation.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner James. Oh, sorry. You already spoke. Let's go with Commissioner Johnson.
Forgive me if I misunderstood what I thought I heard saying over here earlier about the one-time money. And Director Smith answered the question, but when we came on 4 years ago, we had a $64 million deficit. One thing that caused that was using one-time money for recurring. You don't do that. And I thought that that's what I heard tonight again, is why don't we use this one-time money for salaries, basically. And it's kind of appalling that we went through this. We got rid of that deficit, had to raise taxes, part of it to do that. Now somebody suggests that we do that again. I'm sorry, I just don't understand that.
Mr. Chair.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry, Commissioner James.
Well, one I was going to ask, just to kind of summarize, make sure I had it right and understanding right, but before I start, I'll read that comment there. Commissioner Johnson, I think you heard that wrong. I used that as an example of things that we're having issues affording, not using one-time money. I was actually getting clarity for one-time money. Okay. So that was a misunderstanding. I appreciate you. My thought was, looking at it, was just trying to understand clarity. We have one-time money of $8 million going towards the purchase of this. We have a possible renovation cost of roughly $8 million, rough numbers. And if we buy this, we have the potential of a $13 million renovation to make the other 35% of the BOA building move in already. Does that come across right, that we could, if we didn't purchase it, we could use that one-time money for the renovation of this? Because it sounds kind of like, don't get me wrong, I want it, I look at it, I want it, I see the need, I see the value of it, the long-term value of it, and I want it. The problem I'm having is the numbers lining that up. And I guess I'm just too fiscally responsible to go buy a Porsche when I can only afford a Honda.
There is no money, there's not an 8, 8, and 13. So we would purchase the building for 8. I'm rounding figures because there was no other 8 to do anything with the Goldstein. There would be a total of 20, I don't have the number in front of me, but 20 million to purchase and renovate both. We already have 13 million set aside to go towards the purchase of the Bank of America building and to go towards the renovation. So the $13 million number is what I'm saying. You have $12,893,000 to be exact is what's set aside to go towards the purchase of the Bank of America building, and that could go towards the renovation of the Bank of America building. And the total number, and I don't have it right in front of me, but a total number to purchase and to renovate is roughly 20-ish million. I just don't have it in front of me, the exact number, because we haven't bid it yet. We did hire pre-construction services. So I was saying you would only need another 6 to 7 out of one-time money to complete the entire Bank of America building reno and purchase. There was no money set aside to do anything with the Goldstein building. So you would purchase the building for 8, and then you would renovate the building for a total cost of roughly $18 to $20 million. But there was nothing set aside. I just want to clarify, the $13 million is what's already earmarked to go towards either the purchase and subsequent remodel of the Bank of America building, and I will go ahead and say, because I'll get asked, but we set aside $9.5 million from one-time money in the general fund, but we had $3.3 million, and again, I'm rounding to the nearest 100,000. We had $3.3 million left over from our transfer station project. So that money out of that 13 cannot go to salaries. That is leftover bond money that we have to spend. The other thing that I will mention is if we come in under budget on the forensic center and the EMS station, that money will transfer down to the BOA building. So that's why I'm giving round numbers here, is because we're not going to waste that bond money. We borrowed approximately $20 million for the transfer station, and we came in about 3.4 million under budget there. That money we shift to the next project. So we've shifted that to the forensic center, left over in the forensic center will shift down to here. So it could be that we have 14 million to go towards this, and you would only need 6 when it's all said and done. But just to clarify, there's nothing set aside to do anything with the Goldstein building.
Other questions? Ready to vote? Commissioner Piercy.
I've watched several presentations on this building. I've had a lot of questions. Mr. McAdoo made the comment just then that 65% ready. The presentations I have watched, there's not a lot of aspect of that building that's going to have to be worked on to some point, other than it sits on bedrock, it's got a great foundation. Mr. McAdoo, could you elaborate on what might make up the 65% that is ready?
Yes, sir. I was referring to the second and third floor. Second and third floor, if we had to, we could move the employees in that area. Only thing we would have to do was make it ADA accessible, the restrooms, and that's it. We can move them in. And that's what I was looking at when I said 65%. And that's based on not me, myself personally. I didn't go through and calculate the percentage. It's just what the information that I got from the Barton.
So it is possible that we could buy this building, move our people into it now, maybe push for a sale of the Goldstein building to generate the the rest of the money to rehab that building, or does it have to be rehabbed without people in it?
Michael.
Mike?
So I think we would need to rehab it without people in the building, because one of the things with this building is you're getting extra space that's bigger than the Goldstein. So part of it is enclosing the bottom floor, but also part of it is going through and updating the sprinkler systems and the HVAC stuff. And so they would gut all of that and put that back. So my understanding in working with Klein Sweeney is we would not be able to put people in it. It would cost us more to put people in it and then try to renovate it while people are in there. So my understanding is we could not do that. We would have to renovate the building and then move everybody at one time, was my understanding. But my understanding is some of that stuff is operational, but it is at its end of life, whether that's the sprinkler system or HVAC, those types of things. Similar, and we were learning from some of our mistakes on 20 North, where after we moved everybody in 20 North, we actually had to go back and re-put a new chiller, and we had HVAC equipment leaking on the OIT software or servers. And so we were trying to avoid that on this. But my understanding is we would renovate the entire thing and then move people.
The reason I'm questioning this pretty hard, we're right here in the closing hour of a 4-year term. We're fixing to get 5 or 6 new commissioners. We've got a new mayor coming on. I hate to load the mayor's wagon with a building to finish that he has had nothing to do with the process. That being said, I know our people need to be moved out of the Goldstein building. And for that point, I'm going to support buying this building. Thank you.
Anything else? Commissioner Hall.
I wasn't going to say anything, but here it goes. I appreciate the employees that are in that building and those that have reached out to me and talked to me over the last few days. It seems like I'm the devil in this room with questioning this thing since it very went on, because I'm a numbers guy and the numbers don't make sense. The numbers don't make sense on this because we don't have an appraisal, so we don't know what that lot's worth. We decided we didn't want to do an appraisal. We talked about an appraisal. Appraisal was never done. We have an estimate that a new building cost should be between $425 and $450 a square foot in commercial in Murfreesboro. But we're okay in the sale and the remodel for $714 a square foot. Add them both together, and the $20 million with the square footage we got, we're paying $714 a square foot. So we can say on the square. Offered a building up November the 20th for $7.2 million, 28,000 square feet, double the parking. It's not on the square, but it's a building built in '98, and we're not blowing what reserve money, one-time money that we got that we could go towards something else. Nobody can make that number meet. Makes sense to me. Nick said due diligence. Part of due diligence in a real estate contract of all the real estate agents I've been talking to the last few days is an appraisal is done. Not a building evaluation, but an appraisal. We never did an appraisal. We've spent $450,000 now, and I'm like you. I hate that we're prolonging them any longer over there, but we made a motion, and it was second and unanimously approved property management on November the 20th. I'm not going to come at you unless I got a possible resolution to it, and I appreciate Commissioner Johnson actually called me afterwards and went over and looked at the building between Sulphur Springs and Northfield. 7.2 million is the exact same square footage, double the parking. He saw some issues with the outside of the building, but if we bought it for 7.2, we negotiated from 9.2 to $8 million in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. The conversation wasn't going good, and they got on the phone back here and come up here with this grand resolution that they have lowered down the price from 9.2 to $8 million in 15 minutes. Now, we spent 90 days, and we are still on the same price because we don't have an appraisal. So I'm voting no. It's not for these employees because they do deserve it. I'm doing it for this very poor management that's going on with the purchase of this building. I will vote no today.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sorry, Commissioner Johnson.
I asked Ms. Rachel Leahy to look up the minutes of that November meeting. There's nowhere mentioned in the digest, the minutes, or even the handwritten notes. She spent 2 hours. She wasted 2 hours because this statement was made, that this motion was made and unanimously approved, and it was not. Or say it's in the records. No, it's not in the records that it was done, because it was not done. Commissioner Hall, you asked me to go over there and look at that building that you keep pushing, and I did. You said you appreciated my opinions or views. One thing, because I'm just an old man, but I went over there. You also told me that it's been completely renovated. We can move right in, it's no problem. Well, it's not completely renovated, because I did see problems, just me, and I'm not even a contractor. And I could see the problems, things that I wouldn't even done on that building, that are going to be the same problems that, not problems, but things that we have to renovate on the building that we're purchasing. Yes, that's not on the square. And thank God this one is. This is where our employees need to be. This is where the election commission needs to be. Convenient for the community to come in and vote and get out of there, or whatever else they need to do up there. Our employees need to be here, or at least around the square, not 3 or 4 miles, whatever it is, out on Sulphur Springs Road, in that traffic. The traffic gets worse every day. I'm definitely voting yes for this, but there again, I'm appalled at the, I guess, innuendos or just the questioning of fine, upstanding builders and contractors, professionals, basically just calling them out. They don't know what they're doing. This has gone on way too long, and it needs to be put to bed tonight. So I will vote yes for this.
Mr. Chairman, he called me out. I'd like to take a second. If you hold the minutes there in front of you, sir, you see on item B, the BOA building, and what the motion I made, it was a second by Mr. Irvin to continue to look at other options. And if you watch the video, Mayor Carr said he wasn't aware of that, but he would look into it. That's how that night went.
Anybody interested in calling the question? Question's been called for. Second. And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Got the roll call. Got to go on the board.
Question's been called for and seconded. Commissioners, please cast your vote. This is just calling for the vote. The question has been called for. That's all we're doing, is voting on calling the question.
Is that all again?
Lisa?
Do we have to vote again?
We have to re-vote?
Yes, please.
Commissioner Oliver.
Yes. Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Question has been called. We're getting back to the motion to purchase the BOA building. We had a motion and a second. Commissioners, please cast your vote. You guys hold on just a second. We're having a little technical difficulty.
We ain't got it yet. You got it, okay.
I think it's up now. Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
17 yes, 4 no.
Motion passes. Thank you. I hesitate to make a statement, but I feel like I need to. This has been an ongoing situation for a long, long time, and those of you that have been around me for a while know that I am extremely interested in long-term planning for the county. And that's what this building represents, a long-term solution downtown, which was our target for the county. Long-term solution to meet the needs of the county well into the future. So good job for staying the course and making a decision that I think is in the long-term best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Chairman McAdoo for the work on this and for the help. You can stay on the next two now. We got the easy ones out of the way.
Thank you, Budget Committee.
We didn't. We voted 17. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right.
Back to report of standing committees. Commissioner P.
Item D, a resolution approving the change of funding to the Chamber of Commerce for tourism from 15% of county hotel motel tax to a flat fee. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 104 of the Private Acts of 1983 as amended, Rutherford County is authorized to levy a privilege tax upon the occupancy of hotel motels and campgrounds within Rutherford County. And whereas Section 10, Chapter 104 of the Private Acts of 1983 as amended provides that the proceeds of the hotel motel occupancy tax shall become part of the county general fund and shall be subject to appropriations by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners for the direct promotion of tourism, tourism-related activities, and other county purposes. And whereas by resolution adopted on May 12, 2016, the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners allocated the revenues generated by the hotel motel occupancy tax as follows: 15% to the Chamber of Commerce tourism funds, 5% to the city to Murfreesboro Greenway trails, and 80% to other county purposes. Whereas the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners desires to cap the annual allocation to the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Fund at $400,000 while leaving the other allocations unchanged. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that effective July 1st, 2026, an amount equal to 15% of the revenues generated by the Rutherford County Hotel Motel occupancy tax during each fiscal year shall be designated for the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Fund, provided, however, that the total annual allocation to the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Fund shall not exceed $400,000 during each fiscal year. Be it therefore resolved that the existing allocations of 5% to the Murfreesboro Greenway Trail shall remain unchanged. Be it further resolved that any remaining revenues generated by the hotel motel occupancy tax after allocation of the same to the Chamber of Commerce Tourism Fund and the Murfreesboro Greenway Trail shall be allocated for other county purposes. Be it therefore resolved that except as expressly modified herein, the prior resolutions of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners concerning the Rutherford County Hotel Motel occupancy tax shall remain in full force and effect. Resolved this 11th day of June, 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Commissioner Piercy.
I was to understand that the portion that was being taken away was going to rural road improvements. Take that in the motion.
Michael.
So yes, that is still the case. This motion here deals directly with the split of the hotel motel tax. The other county purposes that you see in the resolution is what's going to be included in the budget that is earmarked, and that's $440,000 of that is going towards rural road improvements. That is in the budget, but that'll be set by the budget every year. And my guess would be that that could be increased every year with other revenues to go along with it. You can amend this motion to put a flat amount in there, but we didn't put a flat amount in there of the 440 because we may want to increase that every year as road projects get more expensive. My understanding is we'd set that amount every year during the budget process. And that would be in the appropriations resolution, which we'll see on the 17th at budget.
Sorry, Commissioner Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to follow up on that, just to understand, the 15% subtracting the 400,000, and the remainder will go to, according to this, other county purposes. And I think it was the intent of the Budget Committee that it be designated to capital roads and transportation. And so it's not in this motion, so how do we know that
So this is where, because we're switching from a percentage to a flat amount. So keep in mind that every year I budget what I think 15% is going to be, but typically I'm conservative. So their amount that we've given to the chamber has fluctuated every year between, some years it's 920,000, some years it's 890,000, it depending on the collections. During COVID, it went way down because we didn't have the hotel motel. So with that being said, when this changed to a flat amount of 400,000 to cap the chamber, the intention was for the remainder to go to rural road, the remainder of that 15%. So that estimate is about 440,000. It could be more. So that will be a part of the appropriations resolution that will come on the 17th.
and that's not my concern is not the 440,000.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that amount is, it will fluctuate each year, but that we know, and future commissions know, that this is going to capital road and transportation projects.
But that'll be set by the appropriations resolution, is what I'm saying on the 17th. That's the 440.
For this year,
Mm-hmm.
right. But this is going, moving forward to other years, correct?
Yes, but you vote on an appropriations resolution every year. So you may want to increase that every year, is what I'm saying. If we put an earmark, a flat number in here.
I'm not asking for that.
No, but if we did for the rural road improvements, then every year we're going to have to come back and formally change this before we can get to the budget process.
The reason I'm going to help me understand, the 440,000 is not listed in this.
It is not.
It's not. And so that number will fluctuate, but to ensure that it goes to capital roads and transportation projects, I feel like it should say in this motion, capital roads and transportation projects, regardless of what that amount is.
Because our original private act had several things in there, or other county purposes. That's why we mirrored the words that said other county purposes, because we cannot change the private act. We're grandfathered in. The budget committee will designate, and the commission, when they pass on the 22nd, will designate that 440 for the rural road improvements. That's the other county purpose that this body will vote on by resolution every year. I can't go back and change the private act to list in the private act. This language mirrors the private act.
Okay, so, but we know that's going to be put in the budget this year, but for future years, so just for the sake of argument, the county commission could say, okay, no money to roads.
They could also change this resolution every year too, I guess this would make it where you're gonna have to vote on 2 resolutions every year if I put it in here, but I cannot change the private act because then we wouldn't be grandfathered in anymore.
So maybe next year we can change the private act.
No.
We can't send it to,
No, because the state law has changed after that. We are grandfathered in. You cannot change your private act or it would change how we can use this money.
so there's no way, I guess, then to ensure that this excess funds from the 15% stays with road
Well, you insure
and
it with your
transportation, other than voting each year.
Yes, it's the only way to do it.
Other questions? Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you. So to change this 400,000 not to exceed 400,000 would require commission action?
By resolution, yes, which is what you're doing tonight.
Okay, because, so, I must have misheard, because I thought we were basically going to be setting a number every year based on the presentation made that year by the chamber.
Well, every year the chamber does submit an application along with the other nonprofit organizations. They did that this year.
Right.
I forwarded that to the budget committee. I think I forwarded it to the full commission, but if not, I can do so. They submit that every year. So every year you can readdress this. It's like echoing in here. Every year you can readdress this. Every budget year, just like you do every nonprofit. It'll be on the nonprofit list, just like it was this year, and they submit their application every year. So you can address this every year if you wish.
Yeah, my concern is that I don't recall them having the opportunity to say, this is too low because, just to be fair. I hesitate to try to amend this at this point, but it seems for basic fairness, they would have the opportunity, if they chose, to say, look, you're cutting us from 800 or 900 to this, and this is what and why, and is there a reason that they need the amount that they have in the bank account currently? And I think that would be fair to do. I don't know exactly, Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it to you if there's a process for allowing them to address that, but or we could just let it ride as well.
Other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I do have a quick question. I would like to know how does this affect the chamber going forward in regards to recruiting different tournaments and things like that, and it brings money and revenue into the county. So I just want to know how this $400,000 or $440 is going to affect them.
One thing I might mention that was brought out in the budget committee was the chamber has a substantial reserve. I've heard between $7 million and $5 million. I don't know which is true, if either are, but I don't think it would adversely affect them. For sure this year, going forward, I think that's something the commission could look at. This originally was enacted to help us keep from having to raise property taxes and use this money for county uses. And I'm personally in favor of doing this. I do want to support the chamber. I think all of us do. We see the good that they've done for us, but I don't think we are hurting them, especially with those kind of reserves.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, thank you. I guess the only thing that I'm still unsettled about is if we cannot attach a memorandum or an addendum that the money is specifically allocated for capital road improvements, then the verbiage of the resolution, to me, is a little final in terms of it says that you're putting a cap on it. And to me, that cap doesn't give an end date on it. So if we have to, per Michael, if we have to every year vote on where the money goes, then we should have to vote every year that this money, whether we do or do not, take it away from the chamber. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Well, one of the complicated pieces of this, when we looked at it, was because we're grandfathered in. A lot of counties cannot do this. We're grandfathered in to our original private act. This original resolution was put in place in 2016, which designated the 15 and the 5 and the remaining to other county purposes. So I can't put in this resolution, we cannot change the private act to say, oh, I'm going to earmark another, either a flat dollar amount or a percentage to go towards roads, because we can't change the private act. We can go to other county uses. So there will be a resolution, a part of the appropriations resolutions, that will do that as a vote. But I guess we could open in and change the wording to this that says this year the chamber's going to get 400,000 and next year they'll come back. But every year we do that anyways during the budget process. We analyze every nonprofit, including the chamber. This one just so happened to have a resolution. Our other nonprofits don't.
Well, for me to support this, the only way I'm supporting this is, in fact, it is guaranteed that it goes to capital improvements on road infrastructure. And if we have to vote every year for that money to be directed for that, I'm going to tell you that unless this resolution says we're going to vote on it every year, then I can't support it.
So you have to, by definition, you're going to have to vote where to spend that other portion every year of hotel motel tax. You have to.
It doesn't say that in the resolution.
No, I'm saying inherently to spend any hotel motel tax, you have to vote on it every year as part of the appropriations resolution. I can't spend it even if we didn't. So the other option would be you could defer this until the 22nd and vote on them back to back.
I have no comfort level that any future commission is going to earmark whether we take $400 or $75 and that it get voted on to go to road infrastructure. So therefore, if you cannot guarantee me that, then I'm going to vote no.
Other questions? Commissioner Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the purpose of the road board? We have a road board, and they have a budget, but we weren't talking about taking money so the commission can have a road board. What's the purpose of the road board?
Well, this and those are two separate things. This is money. We've had some development agreements. This is money to when there's a development comes in and we want to help partner, make some infrastructure improvements. Or, for example, a few years ago we partnered with TDOT. We put $6 million up to do the interchange, our portion of the interchange at Epps Mill Road. So that's something that this is money. So when we partner with the city of Murfreesboro, we partner with TDOT. This is not to maintain existing roads. So that the road board and the highway department maintain our road. They do the bush hogging, they do the paving, they fill potholes. This money is for road improvements, whether that be to add a red light, to add turn lanes, to do things like that, to set aside for that. So it doesn't mean that we couldn't put money with the road board money, but this is for major capital projects. My understanding is that was the motion, to put with major capital projects.
Commissioner Oliver, the development community over the last year or so, maybe 18 months, has begun to participate in mostly interchange improvements that cost actually millions of dollars. And the county is trying to find a way to participate in that and not requiring the development community to pay for all of those on its own. So if we can form that partnership, it will begin to open up a better avenue of communications, not only with the development community, but with the county as a whole, simply because there's been a number of people that keep challenging us about infrastructure improvements. And this is the reason that this exists and is started. And Commissioner Cush makes a good point, and there's nothing that we can do as it relates to dictating what a future commission is going to do. But this sets aside the money, from what I understand, Commissioner Cush and Commissioner Gooch, that we're making a decision that where this year's money goes. So that's what we're doing, is making a decision. And it's mostly for infrastructure improvement. And once again, that's what we're doing as it relates to trying to answer some of the challenges that we have as far as creating those funds for infrastructure. So I hope that clears it up a little bit, I hope. Commissioner James?
Yes, I'm wondering if, Michael, you probably answered this one, put you back on the hot spot. Can we change the wording instead of capping them at 400,000, because it's $400,000 cap and roughly 440,000 remaining that will go back to other county services in our current proposal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically half. They're at 15%. If we were to put 7.5, change it instead of putting a cap amount, put them at 7.5% and change the other 7.5% for the county purposes, so he keeps the resolution wording correct. And then we only have to fight for the 7.5% to make sure each year that it goes to the roads and improvements and so forth. But that allows them to continue to grow or shrink based on their work performance to fill those hotels instead of keeping them at a set cap. Is that
This body can change it to whatever it wishes as long as it falls in line with our private act. That's going to supersede any resolution.
changing it to the percentage as previously at, like that, keep it within those lines?
Are you asking me, can you do that? The answer is yes.
And then what mechanism can we do, Nick, probably for you, after this resolution is set, to try to guarantee that we move forward, making that 7.5% or the other remaining balance go strictly to road improvements in rural counties?
Just building off of what Michael said, so the first step would be if you want to change it how it's currently written and get rid of the cap and instead replace it with a percentage amount at 7% with the remaining, or 7.5% with the remaining other 7.5% to be added to the county general purposes, you can do that, just like Michael said. I think what he was trying to explain is that this commission can't bind future commissions on how to allocate and appropriate the money that is being taken from the hotel motel tax and going into the county general purposes line via this resolution. You do that in your appropriations resolution every single year. And Michael is right, the private act, which it was done before the state statutes on this stuff, our private act says that it can be used for tourism, something else, and any other county purpose. When the state legislature enacted uniform statutes, it got rid of that and it said it has to be used for tourism. Now, we're grandfathered in because our private act still exists. And so we're allowed to take that hotel tax money and give it to any other county purpose. So it's a good thing to an extent. Now, the chamber might not think it's a great thing because they're losing out on it, but we might have other reasons why we want that money to go elsewhere. So again, I would just echo having the language in this resolution that devotes it specifically to capital roadway infrastructure improvements. We can't do that because the private act only allows us to do it for any other county purpose. You can do that in your appropriations resolution every year because you might want to fluctuate that number. You might want to take a percentage of this hotel motel tax on one year and then a different percentage next year. And so this would be a discussion that you'd have to have every year because this is something new that we've never done before, at least since 2016. It's been a decade. So.
Mr. Chair, one last.
Commissioner Cush.
Nick, you're a smart attorney, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to find a loophole for us. I'm going because I'm passionate about this because I feel for the chamber, but yet a county this size, believe it or not, does not have a budget item for capital road projects. It's crazy. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. And hope the road board and Greg Brooks, they don't build roads. They just pave them and cut grass. That's all they do. They don't look for new roads, they don't build new roads. So let me offer this for the two of you. I'm going to make a motion to defer until the 22nd to give you time to find a loophole to try and to solve the question or the conundrum I'm in, is I want any monies we peel from anybody in the future, the chamber, other organizations, anything. I want to find some loophole where we can guarantee it's going to infrastructure. And that's my motion to defer it. I'm going to give you a few days to do some digging, okay?
Is that a motion to defer? Yes, sir. Oh, hold on. Hold on.
It is technically procedurally, it's a proper motion. You can do the secondary motion to defer it on top of the original motion on the floor. That is proper. I don't know if Mike had, yeah, go ahead. Mr. P.
Well, a couple things. One, and I can defer back to Michael here, we need to pass something tonight because we need to post on the 17th what our budget's going to be. All right, that needs to be done. And for a public hearing on the 16th, and on the 17th, we set our tax rate. Now, Michael, what are the other two items that we give money to the chamber? Some of you are probably not aware that that's not all that we give the chamber.
We give for economic development and Destination Rutherford. One is $135,000 and the other is $96,500. So that's a total of $231,500. That remains unchanged. The Budget Committee remained unchanged. The only negative for deferring it to Commissioner Cush is when we meet on the 7th, we have our public hearing on the 16th, and the Budget Committee on the 17th will pass a tax levy and appropriations resolution. And because this was set in a resolution back in 2016, they have to coincide. They're going to have to go together. So, for example, if this wouldn't pass on the 22nd, but budget passed reducing that amount, we're going to have two conflicting resolutions here, is the issue we're going to have. So there's no problem per se pushing this to the 22nd, but the problem would be if one passed and one didn't, they're going to conflict, the appropriations resolution and this resolution if they didn't pass. If they didn't pass concurrently. That was kind of the reason of trying to get this ahead to see what the full commission wanted to do so that when we built the budget or passed the appropriations resolution on the 17th to go to the 22nd that morning, that we'd have something to vote on. But for example, if Budget Committee passes passes the appropriation resolution and it has $400,000 for the chamber and $440,000 for road infrastructure improvements, but this resolution were to fail on the 22nd, by definition, you're going to have to change the appropriations resolution. So we were trying to get them kind of all going concurrently to build. So that is the risk if we defer this to the 22nd, is they both are going to have to pass. If one fails, then we're going to be in a conundrum with the two. And I think one of the issues me and Nick have looked at is I don't even know that one commission can bind another commission, a future commission. And that is essentially kind of what you're asking. And we're struggling with how to do that because no different than in 2016 when this resolution passed, there was something before that got changed. And so that is the conundrum or the task that we're struggling with as far as the request, because we know how important infrastructure is to this body, is how do you earmark that and ensure it doesn't get taken away? And it's really hard because this commission can't bind the future commission, which is, I think, is kind of what you're asking. That's the rough task that we're in, is trying to take something that's so important to this body and try to make sure it doesn't get changed for the future. And I really think that's probably the gist of our struggle. But I just wanted you to know kind of why we were kind of, the order we were taking them in was that reason.
I want to pick up where I left off, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, Commissioner P.
We vote on the Budget Committee on the appropriations every year. We vote on the chambers every year. You know, every year they've asked since 16 for the 15%, and we've decided, or there was a decision to send this forward so we could use that money for other uses, for roads in particular. And I understand perfectly why you're asking that. When I saw this resolution, I had the exact same question when Commissioner Gooch had pointed out to him. Now, hearing the explanation from Michael about how this resolution is set up, the private act, I can understand why we can't specifically say this. But what I want to assure you, as long as I'm a commissioner here and Commissioner Gooch is a commissioner here and Commissioner Cush is a commissioner here, this money would be used for roads. And I see a nod over there from Commissioner Dodd, and I imagine there's quite a few others. I mean, I'm seeing nods all the way across the board and no shaking heads anywhere, maybe one or two, and I'm not sure about that. But this commissioner is committed to using these monies to help the county fund things that we don't have to go back to property tax for. That's what this hotel motel tax was originally set up to do. My father worked on this 20 years before I became a commissioner and broke his heart because he wanted it to keep from having to raise property taxes. But instead, a lot of that went to tourism. Now, not all of it, and that's not been a bad thing either. You see the growth that we've had. These guys are very successful at it. But I don't think we're hamstringing them, especially when you look at the reserves that they have. But I would urge you to not vote for any amendment to put this off. I don't think that it serves this county well. It definitely doesn't serve us as commission well, not having this committed to by the 17th so we can get a tax resolution out.
Mr. Chair. So
let me kind of stop really quick. We've had a motion and a second to approve this item on our agenda. We've had a motion to defer, which I understand is a proper motion, but we haven't had a second to that.
Right.
So before we continue discussion, we need a second to Commissioner Cush's motion. I'm sorry. Oh, you're going to withdraw?
Yes, sir.
Never mind.
Thank you. But I do have a comment, though.
You're up.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
So, Chairman P., I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. This resolution that you're asking us to vote on tonight does not automatically next year say that we're going to take $400,000 away from the chamber.
I'm going to have to refer back to.
So right now, this resolution is going to say that until this resolution is changed, they are going to be capped at 400,000. However, they, as long as a part of all of the other nonprofits, will submit their application, which they do every year. They submit it on time every year. The chamber does. They will submit an application, and they could request to go back to 15%. They could request to go to 50%. They could request $1 million or $500 million.
Right.
And then the budget committee will take that under advisement, which they do every year. They get an entire list of those that's in their budget book. And the budget committee or the commission could change this amount next year as part of the budget process.
So we could go to $500,000 next year, or we could go to $200,000 next year.
Yes, that is correct.
This does not bind us to $400,000.
Nope, it would just take a majority vote next year, just as it does tonight.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you.
We're back once again to the original motion. Other questions or comments? You ready to vote? Okay. Once again, we have a motion and a second to approve item KD, resolution approving the change of funding to the Chamber of Commerce for tourism. Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
19 yes, 2 no.
Motion passes. Chairman P.
As I was saying, now that we got the easy ones behind us, we've got one more left here. A resolution approving the recommendation from the Benefits and Insurance Committee and the Purchasing Committee for Health, Dental, and Vision Insurance. Resolution, whereas the Benefits and Insurance Committee and the Purchasing Committee forwarded their recommendations to the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee for Health, Dental, and Vision Insurance vendors, and whereas the recommendations for health, dental, and vision insurance vendors have been approved at the Budget Committee meeting and forwarded to the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners for review and approval. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor be authorized to accept the health, dental, and vision insurance as recommended, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth at length verbatim, and that the county mayor further be authorized to execute any necessary documents to accept such health, dental, and vision insurance. Resolved this 11th day of June, 2026. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Beverly.
I guess with maneuvering this, I want to make sure I understand. Can we get a little bit of elaboration on what it's going to do to employee premiums?
So tonight, we're not voting on the rates, just as a clarification. However, I will say this, and I know Ed is here tonight, can expand on this if need be. The budget has an estimated, because we set the budget, a couple weeks ago, has a 20% increase for the employer share of health insurance. Just want to say that again, for the employer, not the employee. We put in 20%. To the best of my knowledge, the Risk Management Department has not presented any rates for the employee yet. I'm looking at Ed, that's correct. So I don't know that anybody can tell you for sure what it's going to do to the employer or the employee for that, because we haven't set the rates.
I've got a follow-up, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Looking at step 5, it looks like they recommend a 9% increase to employee rates. And if you go online to our website, you'll see that a family of 4 on the copay plan is paying $559 a month. So about a 9% increase is $50, $600 a year. An employee in this county making $60,000 that is not due a step this year, but is due just a raise to the table that's projected, is only going to bring in around $750 before taxes, maybe $675 after taxes. I just want it known when we start looking at employee raises, and that I hope we address it in the coming week, that could be possible by what's presented in step number 5, that the raise we're giving them just on the lift is wiped out on employee premium or employee paid premiums. I think we need to think about that, because we spent a lot of money tonight, but it's 91 degrees outside, but it can get pretty cold for those employees if they're watching this meeting.
Other questions? Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to kind of cut to the chase. Move to defer consideration of this. I'm going to see if I get a second here. Move to defer consideration and any approvals regarding the health, dental, vision, insurance vendor related plan to the July County Commission meeting, and direct the county's Risk Management Department to provide a comparison of the state of Tennessee plan to the self-insured plan recommended by the Risk Management Committee, among others, as well as to invite the state of Tennessee to send a representative to explain and answer questions about the state plan, state health plan. That's my motion to defer, so that we can actually have a little bit of time without discussing it, what this means, for all of the participants. And I'll be glad to repeat it if you would like.
I'm going to second, and I've got a discussion point.
We've got a proper motion and a second to defer. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, what's our exposure on that? I know we just discussed a motion to defer. Is it going to present the same issues just before we vote?
So this is a different issue. I'm not saying but it's not necessarily a budgetary issue. It would be more something from the Risk Management Department and their timeline for getting the contracts in place and open enrollment. I just don't know those off the top of my head. We've built in the 20% increase on the employer side. I don't foresee that changing with regardless whether with the bids that were presented or whether you're not going to go with a more expensive plan at the state. So from a budgetary perspective, you're fine. I don't know exactly how it would impact the risk management department or their timeline on that. I just don't want to speak for them, but I think that would be the consideration here, not a budgetary concern. It would be more of a contract timeline concern for the risk management department.
And that's what I was kind of getting at. I wanted a second to discuss, but it's also putting them on the clock for a month. That seems like a tremendous amount of work.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Now I can make mine. Okay, that's fine. I appreciate your comments. Okay, so when I met with risk management and Gallagher, it's been a month or two or three, I requested a comparison of the Rutherford self-insured plan to the state's plan. I requested it right before the budget meeting as well. Okay, so didn't get it. At the budget meeting, okay, and from a review of Exhibit A, okay, to the current motion for it, it doesn't appear that we have a plan yet. We may have a vendor, but no plan, and we have no premium costs. Okay, interestingly, and I have no idea where it came from, it's unsolicited. I received the state's plan, which is premiums, health plan comparison, member costs. Here it is. I'll be glad to email it to you if you want. Okay, and I got that in my email a couple days ago. Okay, but I have nothing like it from risk management or Gallagher to compare it to. I have the state's premiums and I have all that kind of stuff, but I have nothing to compare it to, at least at this point. Okay, the young lady I exchanged a few emails with, the state said she would do a comparison if we wanted to, with a little info about our plan that I'm sure risk management and Gallagher could provide, probably in an hour or two. Okay, it seemed fairly simple. Okay, I had nothing to send to her. I didn't have anything to send to her. So I guess the question now is, what don't we know? What don't we know? Okay, well, one of the things we don't know is the impact of, for example, adopting the state plan or the self-insured plan in the budget. Now, Michael has talked about we have a certain amount built in, so that's the budget neutral part. But that would only be the savings piece. There may be some savings in those numbers, or it could theoretically cost more. More on that in a minute. We don't really know what the county plan looks like. In fact, if you look at Exhibit A, it doesn't really say what it looks like. We don't know what the county premiums are. We don't know the cost of the excess insurance. Okay, we're a self-insured plan. If we have a major loss, we pay. Taxpayers of Rutherford County pay. Okay, we don't know if there's any other costs, things along those lines. So what I was hoping we could do, or what we have to compare. Well, at this point, we can't compare premiums. We can't compare stuff like that. We can compare, for example, liabilities for claims. Okay? The state takes the risk for the liability for claims. They take the risk. We have the liability for the premiums. They take the risk for the claims. On the county side, we would have an excess insurance policy. Hopefully there's no busts. If there were a bust, then we'd be on the hook. We don't know the cost for that, though. We don't know how to build that in. We don't know the ultimate cost. Okay? We also know that the state plan gives employees a lot of choice. I can look at this thing here, and it's got, let's see here, it's got Blue Cross Blue Shield, we've got Cigna, they've got a whole bunch of tiers, and a whole bunch of different plan options, things along those lines. That's for the state plan. What do we have for the county self-insured plan? I don't know. We don't know tonight as we sit here. And let's see, so we take the risk off the county. That's one of the things the state plan would do. And it gives the employees choices. At this point, we can't compare plans. So I would urge, respectfully, just a month deferral. But take a look at the plan. Then we can make an informed decision. That's all my motion to defer is trying to do. So that we can then direct, okay, part of the motion to call is to direct the county's risk management department to provide a comparison of the state Tennessee plan to the self-insured plan. If it turns out one is better, okay, that's great.
Commissioner Irwin,
We have to make an informed decision,
would you yield for a question?
of course.
The question is, we have a member of risk management here, maybe if we suspend the rules, or would you be willing to suspend the rules, maybe to answer some of the questions?
I'm okay with anybody that would like to speak.
Mr. Chairman,
And I'm done speaking, so, you know.
Are you done?
For now, yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner P.
I just want to make a quick comment, but I'm also planning on calling Ed and his representative to come up and answer these questions. Now, quite a few are on purchasing. You saw these bids opened several months ago. These were turned over to the insurance committee. They went through it. Ed's group's gone through it extensively. We're talking about months. This came to budget. We answered questions for almost 2 hours the other night. And we're getting some of the same questions. I don't know the answers to all of it. I don't know specifically that the state has set a rate. If it has, I haven't heard. If it has, it's been done recently because they had not set it the other night when we were talking about it at budget. But there's been a lot of people work very hard on this. They have the best interest of this county and our employees. And I would definitely vote for this recommendation. But having said that, I'm going to make a motion for Ed and his representative to speak.
Without objection.
Second.
Without objection, I'll recognize. You move to suspend the rules. We have a motion to suspend the rules to allow risk management and their representatives to.
Yeah, and could I clarify one thing Sir MP just said, though? The committee's only looked at half.
We have a motion. Yep. Is there a second to suspend the rules? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Irving.
Thank you. The committees you're referring to only looked at half of it. There's no reference that I've found where the state premiums, the state risk, the state options were looked at. They may not be as good. If they're not as good,
It was stated in our meeting that they were supposed to have an increase of 10%.
I have the premium amounts right here.
Well, I'm just telling you what I heard
They've
at the
been
meeting.
available for a period of time.
Anyway, we're going to suspend the rules.
All those in favor of suspending rules, I'm not going to be on the board. Suspend the rules, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We're going to take 5 minutes to allow Ed Elam and his group to come up to make comments.
Ed, if you, Ed Elam, our director, and also his, Ms. Smith, I would.
Yes, so Ms. Smith will discuss, she's the one that deals a lot with different government entities, those that are on the local government plan and those that aren't, that have their own plan. So a couple of the questions that Commissioner Irving stated or asked, we'll let her address it.
Happy to try. If I don't catch something that you all want to discuss, feel free to ask me any questions. I really want to partner with you to understand the best that we all can what the right course forward for the county is at this juncture. In terms of comparing the state to your plan currently, the state actually held a call with their ABC coordinators, which are each entity has a coordinator that's named that is responsible to the state to administer the plan. They had a call, it was brought to my attention earlier today by one of our clients, where they said that the rates that they have released to the agencies were only to be used for budgeting at this time. They weren't to be published to employees. So I am not in a position to tell you for sure what the rates appear to be from the state. I have an idea what they are, but from the June 4th meeting of budget to today, there has been a material change in even what I feel comfortable that I would even be able to say I know about those rates. I've also been told by clients that they have indicated they plan to discuss the copay plan, which is a new plan they've added this year. They plan to discuss that in more detail at their August 26th ABC coordinator training, which if you think about that, that's a long time from now when we have to prepare open enrollment materials. One of the comments that I raised in the budget committee that I think is worth noting for this commission, especially in light of what I heard Commissioner Beverly say, and I know others of you share the same sentiment, is that your employees, especially those who are among the lower paid of your employees, a lot of the reason that they work for you is the benefits. I understand it's a large expenditure for you. All of my clients, it's their second largest expenditure next to payroll. But also when we think about how these things impact employees, it's not just about the county's dollars. So if I were to speculate what their final rates are from the state and then give that a comparison to just the rates for you all, that's a different thing than analyzing what it means to the employee at the point of service. Because what costs them in healthcare is not just their premium that gets taken out of their check, it's after-tax dollars that they then spend when they go to the doctor or when they fill a prescription. And there are some meaningful differences in the way that the state plan operates versus the way that your plan operates. So from my seat, trying to do a good job partnering with you to help you make informed decisions as your consultant is to say, not only what does it mean to the county's budget, but what does it mean to your employee's household budget? And I don't think we can split those two apart. What I can confidently tell you is that based on the plan design information that we do have from this year, 2026 versus your 2026 plan, state versus yours, that while there are a lot of options, as Commissioner Irvin pointed out, the state has several options, but none of the options eliminate some of this point of service pushing on to the employee that I'm talking about in a meaningful way. So I just raised that to say, you have a very rich plan. It has real meaning to your employees. And if you're going to go down this path, then I think you should think about things like the specialty prescription cost and how the presumably sicker among your employees will then have to have a separate out-of-pocket max to fill those prescriptions than just the total out-of-pocket max on the base plan. Your current plan doesn't have that, as an example, on specialty meds. So what I'm saying is I think it is a very complicated decision, but one of the metrics that I gave at the budget committee meeting, which is a thing that we do know, on the cost element, we took the state's consultant. They have a consultant just like you do. So the state has Aon, you have Gallagher. The state's consultant released information at the insurance committee meeting that indicated their spend per member per year. We took that information, added inflationary trend to it for 26, and then we did the same thing for your plan. And your plan was about $1,600 per member per month, cheaper according to that math equation. Now, I don't have all the state's information, right? I'm not their actuary, so it's not that I'm saying that is actually what they spent. I'm saying it's a measurement that we have access to based on what they did release. And based on 2026, you were spending $1,600 or so per member per year less. That's just one measuring stick. It's not all of them, but it's one. That combined with the plan designs and what we know about that I just mentioned, led us to believe that the Cigna offer, which contains less disruption for your employees, even with a rate adjustment, remains the better offer for your employees for the year of 2027. I don't have a crystal ball about future years, but I do know that if you make the decision to go to the state, it's a 2-year commitment, but we only know 1 year of rate increase. The last audited fiscal report that the state has from the comptroller's office, they issue them in November of the year for the previous fiscal year, typically. So we have the one that was published November of 2025 for fiscal year 24-25, and the state had about $6 million in additional spend, about 3%, that they didn't budget for either. Because sometimes you project the cost and it doesn't come in exactly at the cost. It's not a fully insured plan. This is not a certainty. We're guessing, very educated guess with a lot of math, but we are predictively modeling what we think it's going to cost, and then setting a rate or a premium equivalent for your employees to pay their portion of that. And then we let the dates start to roll and start to pay the claims and see where it ends up. Right now, I feel comfortable that I can say to you, in the year 2027, if you were to move to the state, not only would the cost be pretty tight, because of the reasons I just mentioned, but the per member cost, your employees at the point of service would experience more out of pocket for the sicker ones. The really, really healthy ones, maybe not, right? Because they're not using the insurance as much. But that is what we feel comfortable saying right now, because you also would have an entire year of claims you would be paying for run out on the current plan while you picked up the cost of the new plan on the state. The move is not free, okay? So what do I mean by that? I mean, the state is giving you a rate for 1 year, but that whole year you're paying that premium with some contribution from the employees that we would have to figure out, and we'd help you all with that. If you'd let us, we would be happy to. But that total spend from the county of employees' money and your money to buy that insurance is not your full cost. You also then pay all the run-out claims from the current plan year, plus overages on those claims. So you have stop loss currently that helps with cost and caps it for individual members who are high claimants. We'd have to buy insurance to do that on the run-out period too, or you'd have to self-insure that. And then there's another huge item with retirees and figuring out how that would go. The state health plan will accept your pre-65 retirees, but it's an all or nothing, and you currently have more than one option that you offer pre-65 retirees. So that's another issue that would be a meaningful difference for those pre-65 retirees. For those reasons, it is Gallagher's recommendation, based on the total picture of those things, that you renew for 2027 with Cigna. The contract is a 5-year agreement. When they submitted their proposal, they said that it expired in 90 days, which 90 days from the bid opening is the 17th of this month, I believe. Their offer was approximately a penny on the tax rate more improved than the next highest bidder. So it's a reasonable offer under the circumstances, and we recommend that you consider that and the pros and cons of that we've outlined today. Having said that, we are in the same position as your consultant, whether you do that or you don't, because we don't have a fee that's baked into the medical. y'all don't pay us a penny more if we do the medical or don't. We have other things we do for you that are the voluntary plans. So that's our compensation structure. It's how we bid you, so that we could really sit in the seat of a consultant and try to help you as you navigate these things. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Irvin.
So it sounds like we're still trying to figure out what the county's plan is. And the state, to a certain extent, is still trying to figure out what its plan is, even though they've published rates and everything else. Is that, because, I mean, I heard general statements, and I appreciate that. I like some of what I heard, okay? However, I heard $1,600. Well, that doesn't seem to be based on anything other than kind of a generalized uncertainty and maybe an educated guess, maybe not. In other words, I was trying to write down facts, and I have virtually no facts. All I have is a rate's going to be available by July. It sounds like the state might be moving it out a little bit. Okay, but it doesn't sound like we have county rates yet either, and I don't know when we're going to have those, and I don't know when we're going to have. So, you know, it's almost. I like what you're saying. Some of it. I appreciate that. I wish we had other. I've heard some people wish we had Blue Cross Blue Shield, different tiers of Blue Cross Blue Shield. Okay, for various reasons. Okay. But we're stuck with Cigna basically at that point. The other questions, you know, it was kind of short on facts is what I'm trying to do. So if you could provide us with
Sure.
facts,
Yep.
and then I'd like the state to provide facts because, you know, I realize we've got this 20% built in. Budget is fine. This thing runs out at the end of the year, as I understand it, and there is a period of time, okay, where, you know, we have to make a decision on it. It's going to be fine for the budget, likely, unless we pick excess insurance. We don't have adequate excess insurance or something. But that could be a problem.
I think where you would have a budget problem potentially is if you were paying your employer contributions to the state premiums while also paying a year of runout and large claimants. I think, I'm not the budget person, that would be a Michael question, but.
I would love to know more about that. Because I'd like to know what the numbers are. In other words, what the number, and I'd like to know it from the state. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't have any reason to discount it. Okay, but I'd like to hear that from the state so that they could tell us, hey, if you change, because the only thing I've heard is, you know, email exchange kind of thing, you know, the premium. Okay, now if there's a difference in runout, okay, I'd like to know that from you and from the state. Okay.
I don't know that the state would have your plan information and plan spend information to have that an opinion on the runout cost, but
Is that something that
what it would
Ed
be,
Ed and Gallagher could provide?
no, sir, and here's why. I mean, we could give you a range, but the claims are the claims. We have to pay to administer the plan, plus pay the actual claim cost for any that come in after 12/31. And so it depends on what the claims are. And so we can put predictive modeling to that, but I'm really not trying to be cute. I'm saying to you, like, that is the issue. It is a self-funded plan. It has, out of every 5 years, you're statistically very prone to have one rough year. We purchase stop-loss insurance to help insulate the county from very large claimants. But in the past, we have not purchased a product that we could purchase. I heard Commissioner Irvin's concern around risk, and if you all wanted to purchase an aggregate stop-loss premium, we could. What that would do is it would insulate you from lower-cost claimants that total more than what you were expecting to spend by about 125% in that plan year, right? So there are other products you all could get. that would help with some of those risks, if those are the risks you're concerned about, we would be able to do that. I think one of the things that might be helpful to say is that not only do you have the run out and the high-cost claimant risk of that period of time, you also have 18 months of COBRA. So anyone on COBRA insurance, those claims would be staying with you. They don't move to the state. And then you have a pretty significant retiree impact that has to be addressed. That is a separate analysis, but it is definitely something that you would want to do.
Mr. Chair.
It sounds, with all respect, it sounds like, why would anybody ever use the state plan? You know?
Well, larger groups often don't. It's usually my smaller clients that do. I think if you went to the state, you might be the largest government that's in the state at that point. I'm not sure of that, but I based on what local government, yes, local government, you would, I believe, be the largest participating entity. Now, that doesn't mean it's not a good idea. I'm just saying it would be, you know, it is a bit unusual for the larger ones.
Did y'all ever look up to see how much the schools save?
I'm sorry?
How much the schools save? I've heard it's a substantial number when they made the switch over.
So, I think it's important to address that the savings that the schools experienced, which I don't have the number, I didn't do the math, I wasn't the consultant, but the state plan for education agencies is a completely different plan than the government plan. It has its own rate chart. It has its own increases every year. The schools' increases this coming year, they've announced aggregate would be somewhere around 7%, whereas the government plan's around 10.5%. They've had a lot of headwind. We call it headwind in our business, but inflationary extra spending on government employees is always, in my experience, greater than on an education employee. So any savings the schools were able to capture, and I'm not saying that they didn't, I believe they did save some money, but any of that savings was based on a completely different analysis and risk pool than what you all are in.
Mr. Chair, from what I gather, Commissioner Irvin would like to defer to give more time for an analysis, but if everyone flips over to, believe, page 6, under future state, it shows that with 6 months' notice, we can go to the state healthcare plan without penalty. Yeah, Cigna and both Blue Cross offer that to us, and if those are the two vendors that we're really looking at, I know I seconded this motion for discussion, but that's exactly the discussion I wanted to have. We have something built into this proposal that allows us, we're only committed for 6 months if we do this. That gives Ed's department and Ariane Gallagher plenty of time to conduct their own assessments, and they're not on a 1-month timeline that this motion would provide. So I think that's something worth noting. We have a strategy, and that's throughout the whole life of this, correct?
So I do think I should clarify one thing about what you said, just to make sure we're on the same wavelength. The 6-month notice of termination is, it would be very difficult for your employees to move in the middle of their plan year because their out-of-pockets would be partially met. So in fairness, I don't think this commission would really want to do that. I think you'd want to do it on a calendar year alignment for that reason, but not because the state wouldn't accept you, just because of the impact to the member. They would have to get credit for their deductibles and out-of-pockets, and I don't know that they can do that. They might, I don't know.
So in essence, what I'm hearing is right now that you're getting different numbers from the state as it is. We don't have anything solid that we can give to employees that we feel comfortable, but at best, if we pass this tonight, it's not a 5-year commitment that we looked at when we first took office in 2022. It is now 1 year to match out of pockets. So we're essentially committing to 1 year, and we can reevaluate this. And in 6 months, we need to be prepared to make a decision. So my thinking is let's not move forward with the deferral to next month. Let's go ahead and move forward with the approval of this, and then we need to have a plan in 6 months of where we're going. Is that kind of aligned with your perspective?
I don't have the same concern the way you just said it. Okay. Yes, sir.
But we wouldn't know.
Sure. Chair.
Commissioner, you've been up.
Chair, I'm going to call for the question.
Second.
question would be to defer. That's the question you're calling for? Is that the question you're calling for, to defer?
Yes.
Or are you removing your second? Okay. We've had a call for the question from Commissioner Irvin's motion to defer. Everybody understand? Yeah, he did. Okay, all right. Phew. Everybody understand what we're doing? No.
Calling the question.
So the question is, do we want to move forward with a motion to defer? That's what we're voting for.
No, so just to clarify, Chairman, if I could.
We call the question. If you vote yes, then we'll vote on the motion to defer.
That's correct.
Everybody okay? All right. Commissioner Oliver will be on the board for this, okay? This is the motion, calling for the question on the motion to defer, okay? Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
20 yes.
The question has been called. Now we're going to be voting on Commissioner Irvin's motion to defer. Is there any particular comments on that motion to defer? No? I'm sorry. Nick says no. We got to shut up. So once again, this is a motion to defer. Okay, we're ready to vote. Once again, this is a motion to defer item KC, it appears. Okay. Commissioners, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
4 yes, 16 no.
Motion to defer fails. We're back to the original motion to approve item K1C. We're still open for discussion. Seeing none, commissioners, we're ready to vote. If you would, please cast your vote. Hold on just a minute.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
17 yes, 3 no.
Motion passes. Thank you. Comments? Commissioner P.
I want to mention the next few meetings that we've got coming up. First, our public hearing is June 16th. What is that, next Tuesday? Is that right? Next Tuesday at 7 p.m. in case someone wants to come speak. We will then have a meeting on the 17th, at which time we will have to set the tax rate. The next meeting after that is the 22nd at 9 a.m., where we will actually all vote on the proposed tax rate. I want to mention that our next regular scheduled meeting for budget is July the 9th. Now, at this time, I don't have anything for that, so that date's tentative. However, I think on your desk, and maybe Chairman, you might want to speak about August schedule. Got it. But before I sit down, I want to thank you all for the time you've given me tonight. But I want to mention that July the 25th at Kittrell, of all places, they're going to have a ham breakfast. Commissioner Gooch has been jumping up and down asking me about that, so I will give you dates and times, but July the 25th. Expect you in line out there, Commissioner. But thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman P. We're under other business, and Chairman P., I'm sorry, Michael.
So I want to make I've gotten this question from a lot of commissioners, so I just want to answer this for the full commission. We've been back and forth. The public notice did go out with our old tax rate, but the estimate of the tax rate that would be for the certified rate would be $1.4885 roughly. That is still subject to change, but that is preliminarily what in the range we think it will be. And that assessment value is going to be roughly $21 billion for the county. So we will hopefully have something more finalized by the 17th to be able to send to the commission. But that way, everybody got the same information. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be around $1.48 on the tax rate. Now, just to reiterate, we're dropping in tax rate, but we're raising in assessment. So that doesn't mean we have a reduction. That doesn't mean we have an increase. So if we were to adopt the certified rate, that would be no tax increase, even though the rate dropped because that's the certified rate. So right now, it's looking like it's going to be about $1.48.
Thank you, Michael. Other business you see on your desk, you have the August calendar, and that's been changed for us to move our commission meeting from the second week to the fourth week to be able to, for this commission to wrap up all business cleanly instead of having committee meetings after the commission meeting is there. Basically, we're moving the fourth week committees up to the third week and moving the commission from the second week back to the fourth week, which will be on August the 26th. Everyone understand why we're doing that? Makes a certain amount of sense. Our next commission meeting is the 22nd. It's our annual set the property tax rate meeting. And then our next regular meeting will be July 16th. Once again, we will meet in July this year. There are a couple of, once again, pretty important big items that we will be discussing in July. One particular shout out, Nick Christensen has stayed with us tonight till the bitter end, although he has an early flight in the morning to go overseas to play 5 days of golf in Scotland. So wish I were going with you, Nick, but I guess you deserve the time with your dad versus with me. So shout outs or announcements?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to announce that on June the 26th at 5:30 p.m., we will be having the Blackman Barbecue at Lane Agri Center. So if you all would like to join us, please feel free to stop by and enjoy. We should have several political candidates and just have a good old time, barbecue, baked beans, and all that good stuff. So we'll see you then.
Thank you.
No, Alan, it's not free. Excuse me, Commissioner McAdoo, I'm sorry.
Anything else?
5:30 p.m.
Anything else? Commissioners, I say it regularly, but I mean it tonight from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for your attendance, your participation especially, and your patience tonight. You're a good group, and you've done well. Commissioner Oliver.
Thank you. I just wanted to announce that Saturday, June 13th, we're having flag raising and Liberty Lap in Laverne at the Public Health Building. So just inviting everybody out in recognition of America 250.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner James.
I want to reiterate one of our speakers this morning, or the beginning of this evening. Feels like this morning, doesn't it? The test the ground first papers on your desk. Please look over that thoroughly. It's going to be a much bigger issue for us than a lot of you are probably realizing at this moment. this specific incident is in my district, and I've been watching this closely and dealing with these property owners very closely on this. It's going to be a much bigger issue moving forward, and y'all might want to look at that before it really hits home. Thank you.
Anyone else? We are adjourned.